This holds 300 pounds of clear molten glass. Inside the furnace, we keep the temperature at 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's why the glass is glowing bright orange. This is clear glass. If we let it cool down, you'd see it turn clear, but clear is adding color by rolling it through crushed up colored glass called frit. Is this gold ruby? All right, so she's using a color called gold ruby. We add different metal oxides to the clear glass to get the different colors, and they would use gold chloride to make this color. Now she's shaping this with a wooden spoon called a block. She's gonna get ready to blow into the end of the iron and trap the air in there with her thumb. If you watch out there at the end, you're gonna see it start to grow right there. So there's a bubble inside there, probably about the size of a golf ball. Now we're gonna let this cool down a little bit more, and she's gonna gather more glass over top of it. Each layer is called a gather. This is gonna be a 2-gather piece. All of these pieces that you see up here on the stage were 2 gathers. And actually, Claire is going to make a picture just like this. She actually made this one, and it's out of the same color. What? All right, so she's gonna cool it down. Try to gather on the glass too hot, it'll drip back off into the furnace. Now this furnace stays running 24 hours a day, we never turn it off. In the bottom half of the furnace is a big ceramic bowl called a crucible. It's a high temperature ceramic material that holds the hot glass. She's just gonna push the end of the iron below the surface, rotating clockwise. And you'll see she'll collect about 3 times as much. There it is. So again, she's going to use a larger block, shaping and cooling the outside layer as the inside bubble starts to heat back up. Now these blocks are made out of fruit wood. Apple, cherry, and pear wood work really well. They have a dense grain pattern because of the way that they grow, so they burn away very smoothly as we use them. So she'll continue to shape and cool the outside layer as the inside bubble starts to heat back up. Then she's going to use another tool that might surprise you. This tool is folded up newspaper. So this is about 10 sheets of the local paper, folded into a square. We soak it in water, get it nice and wet, and then we burn the top layer in. Works really well for shaping glass with your bare hand. Now that she's got it shaped up, she's going to get ready to drop this into a mold called an optic mold. You can really see how much the glass is moving around now. She kind of shapes it into a tapered shape to fit into the mold. She'll immediately go up and drop it into the mold. She'll blow pretty hard in the mold to fill it up. And now when she comes out, you'll see it'll take the shape of that very easily. Whoa. I think they like that part, Claire. All right, so if you look up on the screen, you can actually see inside of our reheating furnace. We have a camera mounted behind this oven. We're able to do that because there's a special piece of glass called fused silica that protects the camera from the heat. That type of glass was developed here in Corning in 1934. It's the same type of glass that NASA uses for their spacecraft for the windows because it'll withstand temperatures of up to 3,800 degrees. Now the glass is very hot and soft. To make this pitcher, she's elongating the bubble. She's also going to make a constriction called the jack line off the end of the iron. Now this constriction is going to tell the glass where to break. We break the glass at least twice during this process. The first time is to remove it from the blowpipe. This constriction will tell it where to break. And the second time is to remove it from the punty iron. Once we're finished shaping the bottom, we're going to attach a solid rod called a punty iron to it. That'll hold on to it, act like a handle, so we can work on the top of the piece. Anybody have any questions so far? All right. Well, the type of clear glass we're using in the furnace is called soda lime glass. The 3 ingredients that we use to make this is sand, soda ash, and limestone. It's about 70% sand. Like I said, all the different metal oxides make the different colors. Iron oxide will give you green, gold chloride will give you this pink, cobalt oxide will give you a dark blue, and copper oxide will give you a light blue. Now she still has a bit of thickness at the bottom to make this type of pitcher. She kind of shapes it like a teardrop, so she's going to inflate the bottom section quite a bit more and stretch the top of it out by holding it at an angle. So you can see the bottom is the hottest part of the piece. That's the part that's really blowing up as she inflates it. Now she's not blowing very hard. It only takes about 2 pounds of pressure to inflate the glass. I'd say it's probably easier than blowing up one of those balloons. Now we're going to add some glass to the bottom of this to create a foot. She's ready, she'll give me the nod. That's my indication to bring over some glass. We're going to spool it on the bottom of the piece. So this technique is called casting off. She'll apply the amount that she wants, and then she'll pull away, and you'll see it's so hot that it'll separate. Now when you pull the glass that thin, it cools so fast I can already grab the end of it. See, it's still so hot and soft, I can pull and stretch this right out. Glass is a really poor conductor of heat. It cools very quickly. That's why we gotta go back to the reheating furnace to heat it up so often. Now the glass left on this iron, I'm going to shape this up and we'll attach it to the bottom of the foot, and then we're going to break it free. So I'll just support the weight of the iron. She uses the tweezers to grab the iron, and she blows on it for good luck. And we're going to get ready to break this off the blowpipe. So she'll use a cold pair of tools to chill that jack line, little tap, and it comes off just like that. And the crowd goes wild. All right, if you look up on the top, you can actually see the small hole left from the blowpipe. Now she's going to get this pretty hot. She's going to use a pair of tweezers to pull and tweeze the top of this, and then she'll use a pair of shears to cut in and around, leaving a high side for the pour spout. And then we're going to add the handle. Any questions so far? Yeah?
If you have that running 24/7 with enough electricity, what do you do with the power?
So, yeah, our furnaces run 24 hours a day. We never turn them off. If we lose power, we actually have a backup generator that will kick on. If that doesn't work, if that fails, we have security here that checks the furnaces every hour. Somebody will get a call, and if all else fail, we have a 20-pound propane cylinder. We'll hook a burner head to it, and we'll stick it in the front door of the furnace to keep it hot. If this furnace drops too cold with molten glass inside, it shrinks and it'll ruin the crucible that's holding the glass. So we would have to, turn it back on, scoop all the glass, turn the furnace down, replace it. It's a whole ordeal. So somebody would come in and make sure that there was enough fire going through the front door to keep it soft. Yeah, you have a question? Can you have this piece? Well, we would love to give it to you, but it's a little bit hot right now. Yeah, after we're finished with this piece, we're going to remove it from the iron and we're going to put it into a slow cooling oven called the annealer. It takes about 12 hours to cool a piece that's this size. If we just leave it outside in the cold or in the air, the room temperature air, it'll crack and break within a few minutes. Now, I didn't quite hear that. Did you guys say that you're going to come back in the morning to pick this piece up?
Yeah.
All right, so there, she trimmed the top of this, and she's going to smooth this out. Then we're going to add a handle. But what I was going to say is that before we're finished with this piece, the blowpipe that we used to make the piece, the glass left on the end of it, you're going to hear that start to snap and break off the end of the iron. It's cooling so fast, it's going to break off of there. So we're going to stick it into this oven called that says the Corning Museum of Glass on it, and it'll take about 12 hours to cool down. The cooling cycle is determined by the thickness. The thicker the piece, the longer it takes to cool. The biggest piece of glass in the museum is the 200-inch telescope mirror blank out here in the Innovation Center. It's the big round honeycomb disc. That weighs 40,000 pounds, and it was in the oven for 11 months. So she cut the top of that. She's gonna get ready to open it up. And when she's ready, she'll let me know, and I'm gonna gather some glass for the handle. You can really see where she's been focusing the temperature right on the top. So she opens it up. There's the pour spout. So she'll probably take another quick reheat while I shape up the handle. I want to pull all of the glass off the iron so it's usable. I'll actually cool the glass at the end a little bit more. And when you roll it on the table, it puts chill marks on the surface. So I'm going to take a quick little reheat before I bring it over to Claire. And then she's going to put it right on the opposite side of the pour spout. She kind of stands up to look right over where the pour spout is. She'll attach this right on the opposite side. She'll stretch it a little bit. She crimps it and then stretches it a little more and cuts it free. And while this is still hot, did you guys hear that glass breaking? That's the glass from the blowpipe. So she stretches it, scrolls it, and reattaches it to the bottom part, just like that. Yeah.
Does Claire
You got 3 fans, Claire. All right, so now we're going to flash this again, and then we're going to get ready to remove it. Yeah.
So you guys don't wear any gloves or anything like that? Do you burn yourself?
You know, we don't wear gloves because it would be very hard to turn the iron with gloves on. It'd be like trying to tie your shoes with gloves on or typing an email. But we know where the iron is hot, so we're very careful to pick up the iron or the tools where it's room temperature. Now, people do get burned occasionally. It doesn't happen very often. When you first start making glass, it only takes one time to figure out what part of the iron is hot. Yeah.
All I can think of is accidentally breathing in instead of blowing out.
What would happen if you breathed in instead of blowing out?
Not much. I mean,
Yeah, actually, you know what would happen is it would collapse the bubble. You couldn't draw enough hot air in from the piece to burn yourself.
Okay.
All right, so she just fire polished the handle. We're gonna get ready to remove it. A little bit of water. We'll break this free. And we're gonna fire polish this. Where you break it free, it leaves a little sharp edge from where it was connected to the punny because we are breaking it. So we're gonna smooth that out. She breaks it free, comes right off. So this is one way you can tell if a piece is handmade. It'll have a little punty scar on the bottom of the piece. Now you know another way you can tell if a piece is handmade? You turn it over and you look at the price tag. All right, so we're gonna put this into the oven. Like I said, we're gonna keep it in here overnight. It's gonna take about 12 hours to cool down. Tomorrow we'll pull that out, take a look at it. How about another round of applause for Claire? Nice job.